Wing Commander Joe, may I start?
Yeah, please start.
Good evening to everybody, and welcome to this webinar session today evening. Thank you all for logging into our webinar session. My name is Rajesh Krishnan, and I will be a host and moderator for this evening. And I'm the person to shoot at if you have any trouble during this webinar session. And this webinar is jointly planned by Transcat People Solutions Private Limited and Rotary Bangalore Sneha for the benefit of our professionals. And today we have the second of the series. We've had a highly attended and appreciated first one by Dr. Jesse Christian. Now, the topic for today's webinar is how to decide your true purpose in life and relevance in selecting your career. I do not know how many of you would be looking forward to such a topic, because we all have selected our careers, and I do not know whether it's relevant. Most of you would find it not relevant, and it also is got to do with you can hire the right people. Now, during this COVID lockdown scenario, each of us have gotten work savvy at home, tech savvy at workplace, and we have used different platforms for webinars, conferences, etc. Today we are hosting a session on this platform developed by a company called Anytime Learn, and the platform is being developed by as an extension of the learning application by Mr. Vinay and his team. Mr. Vinay is incidentally on the logged into this webinar too. A little bit about Transcat. Transcat is a large consulting organization. Basically with a very rich consulting experience, and they help companies to transform and bring progressive changes to strengthen them during these rough times. We have a strong emphasis on psychometric testing as part of a diagnosis. Accurate diagnosis is the basis of our design, and the entire design based on which the intervention is done for the companies, and implementation for an effective engagement with the clients. Our engagement is totally driven by return on investment, and that's one of the primary drivers for doing our business and in our engagement with the clients. We are reachable on www.transcat.in. A little bit about Rotary Club Sneha. Rotary Bangalore Sneha is a part of Rotary International District 3190. Rotarian Dr. S. Nitya Leela is the current charter president. This club has been very active during these testing times of COVID-19. The president has led from the front to distribute food and grocery items to the deprived and the needy around Bangalore South. Getting back to today's webinar, this will be presented by, as you all know by now, Wing Commander Joseph Paulson, affectionately called as Joe. Joe was an ace fighter pilot in the Air Force for 2.5 decades, flown jets like which we kind of dream of and fantasize about, like the MiG-29 and MiG-21. Experienced as a trainer and a pilot selection specialist. He took early retirement in 2003, and since then he's been in the startup world, consulting, coaching, training, and psychometric certification, bringing all his experience of 25 years from Air Force into the corporate world. He holds a level A B qualification from British Psychological Society, BPS, which is a very prestigious one. He's a master trainer with the Government of India and with a leading leadership organization called Blessing White from United States. He's a certified NLP and hypnosis master practitioner. He holds a Guinness World Record in firewalking since February 2015. 15 February 2017. I'm sorry about that. He is a certified firewalk and glasswalk instructor from another US-based company called Sundoor. As an executive coach, he has worked with CXOs and board members of global corporations. He has vast experience in career counseling and coaching students and working professionals and training career counselors. He has recently entered the Hall of Fame as a published author. We can go on and on about him, and it will take me another half an hour to complete his whole credentials. Now, as we go into the webinar, a few things for all the participants. All are currently on mute, and will request you to remain so. Queries will be addressed at the end of the session, and we have allocated enough time for this. Alternatively, you can send us your queries on the chat platform there's a chat box. These two will be addressed. Without much further ado, I shall hand over the controls to Wing Commander Joseph Paulson, and looking forward to a seamless session. Over to you, Dr. Wing Commander.
Okay, thank you, Rajesh, and thank you, fellow participants. We have got close to 50 people who have signed, and a lot of people whom I know. Thank you very much for joining in, and a lot of people known to Transcat and other participants who are part of the hosting that we are doing today. So the topic that we are working on today is how to decide your true purpose in life and its relevance in selecting your career. So true purpose and selection of career, those are the focus areas. And let me start the session with a poll. So you got two quotes there on the screen. Choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. So said Confucius. Make your passion your profession. Now, if you endorse and agree to this statement in the whole panel that's coming up, if you endorse, make your passion your profession, type in yes or no. Yeah, good to see a race between yes and no. No has by and large frozen at 5 or 6, and yes is well ahead in the race with 22. That's almost 47% of the population, which is almost touching 50, 51. And I'm going to take a pause right now. And yes, sorry, no, they don't agree with this 8 people, 17%. So what's the verdict? The verdict is, I partly agree with the statement only. Make your passion your profession is not necessarily a true statement, and that's a hypothesis which I'm going to prove in the next 40 odd minutes. Okay, so thank you for that poll. Now, this is the model that has led me to make this presentation as well as write a book in the recent past. So the first is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the bottom side of the pyramid is the deficiency needs, and the green one are the growth needs. And I'm going to spend a little time into it, each one of them. And the second model is the law of dharma by Dr. Deepak Chopra in his 7 spiritual laws of success. And the third one is Ikigai, the book that came up first in 2016, written by Hector Garcia and Albert Lieberman. And of course, I've written my ebook in this month itself, where I brought in Make Your Purpose Your Profession, not Make Your Passion Your Profession. So let's go a little more deeper into this. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs has been the framework for a lot of people for so many decades. And I want you to look at the screen, and the top 2 items, self-transcendence and self-actualization. Both have got these 2 elements which are there in the green box, helping others and achieving individual potential, which is getting repeated in the perspective shared by Dr. Deepak Chopra in the 7 spiritual laws of success. The 7th one, dharma. Dharma is a Sanskrit word meaning true purpose in life. So just to describe what he says, because I like that concept very much, make this world a better place by discovering your true self and creatively expressing your unique gifts and talents to the fullest, and in as many ways as possible to serve humanity, actually echoing the same sentiments that is there in the hierarchy of needs. And when you say meet the needs and wants of humanity, for a layman's purpose, the way I explain is reduce pain, sorrow, conflict, or grief, and at the same time, increase abundance of joy, happiness, and peace. So the Dharma principle can be put in two boxes. One is that discover your true self, your uniqueness, and as Dr. Deepak Chopra says, gifts and talents, and serve humanity to make this world a better place. Now, the next one is a interesting one, Ikigai. In Japanese, it means reason for being. And most of the models, there are a number of models explaining Ikigai, and there are 4 circles that we need to focus attention on. I have blanked off the other inputs. So the top circle is that which you love, we endorse it. On the left is that which you are good at, we endorse it. That which the world needs, we endorse it. That which you can be paid for, which is a narrow description of reason for being. When we discuss in our sessions, coaching sessions as well as seminars, people say the purpose in life includes material abundance. Only that is mentioned in Ikigai. Other things include health, energy, enthusiasm, relationships, freedom, stability, sense of well-being, peace of mind, etc. That's why I said I personally partly only endorse Ikigai as a reason for being or your true purpose in life. And this is what I have put together in my book. There's no graphics, but this is what I'm displaying for the first time to the public. Make your purpose your profession. Move from the old paradigm of make your passion. I'll give enough and more example. And going by what Dr. Deepak Chopra says, discover first and serve next. Absolutely fine. I'm going to explain each one of them, so I'm not going to spend time on this graph right now here. Now, in case you have any doubts, any questions that you want to raise, please put it up in the chat box. We'll find suitable time to answer them, and surely at the end if it is missed out before that. So, is discover and serve a new approach and a model? Yes and no. Yes, because nobody has articulated in this clear manner for an objective measurement, and no, because it is adapted from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Ikigai, and the law of Dharma, life purpose, which I explained just now. The goal for me was to make the whole process more structured and objective using established online tools. This process has less dependency on the coach or the facilitator, and the output is much more consistent, and the output is more reliable, and most importantly, simple to implement. Now, that is what I take pride in this model. Let's go deeper into the model. Yeah, somebody did ask some question. Please put in the chat box. I will respond in the chat box as I get a slot to speak there for the question and answer session. So let's look deeper here on the 6 measurement clusters. First is the interest profiling, 2 is the personality profiling, 3 is reasoning ability. These we are mandatory for anyone to find out, including students. The 4th and the 5th, skills and other skills, are put in black color, saying it is primarily for working professionals or those who finished college or education. And the 6th one again is mandatory, values assessment. In layman's words, the needs and wants a person like you or me have got. Okay, let's go into deeper perspective for each one of them. So the purpose in your life is to discover your true self, your uniqueness, gifts and talents. And I have added needs and wants, but that was a missing link in all the models that we described. And serve humanity to make this world a better place by serving the humanity's needs and wants. Going a little more detailed. Earlier, I asked you to poll, and majority of you polled, make your passion your profession. But with this model, so if you look at the right side, I put a question mark where the values or the needs and wants are missing. And that is what most of the proponents of passion, make your passion your profession, profess. And when that is missing, that's what happens to a lot of people. I can share the example of a good friend of mine. His son, he was studying 3 years back in St. Joseph College, Bangalore. He was good in music. He was a good basketball player. And after 12th, surprising to his dad, he made an announcement. I am taking a break in studies because I love music. Music is my passion. He's a singer and a guitarist. and he was already in a band. He spent almost 2 years in the band. They could not go beyond a particular level, and there was no money. He started borrowing money from his parents, and the stage came 2.5 years. He said, I think that's not a good idea, following the passion, because that was not meeting his needs and wants. He was absolutely passionate about it. He was enjoying every bit of it, but when it does not sustain his living and his needs and wants, that's the time people change tracks. That is why I've replaced that with make your purpose your profession, and that's a hypothesis we will get validation as we go along during this presentation. So the first measurement is about the interest or the interest profiling. Interest scores is good to discover your gifts and what you enjoy doing, what you love doing. It generates a long list of activities or careers based on what you love and enjoy when you use a online computerized assessment. And remember, interest does not mean a skill set that you have. It is just liking, passion, or enjoyment of doing things. To cite an example, there are certain things that you enjoy doing and certain things that you don't enjoy doing. I'm asking all the participants in this panel or in this webinar to put your signature using your primary hand, which I guess most of you would be having your right hand as a primary hand. Put your signature on any surface, any sheet in front of you, as you would sign in your check leaf while presenting to the bank. Okay? And I think it has been an easy job for most of you. And I want you, all of you, to use your secondary hand and put your signature below the signature that you put with your primary hand. And I want you to chat up in case the second signature matches perfectly with the first signature, and the bank manager will clear your check. If you think you got it confident, please chat in the chat box yes or a Y. That's good enough. Okay, a lot of you know, some yes, some not. So I want you to put your signature using the right hand and the left hand, and I want to know whether they match each other perfectly. Okay, lots of people saying no, and I shall go by that view, and it is true. So signature with your right or the left hand is a skill. Imagine you practice it for a period of 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe a 1 month. And when I interact with you 1 month later or meet you in person at the airport while traveling, you say, hey, Joe, you told me, no? Can you sign with both the hands? And you demonstrate to me. And imagine all of you are using the right hand, primary hand, and you show in front of me, almost eyes closed, the left hand signature, and it's almost there, perfect. Then I ask you, when you put your signature with your left hand, was the feeling the same? Or did you have to spend more time focusing on it? You're a little cautious about it, and the answer typically that I get is yes. Therefore, you can learn a skill even if you have no interest in that. That's the message. And you cannot enjoy it, which means if you take up a profession which is against your interest area, you can still perform reasonably well in that career, but you may not enjoy it. If you look at this graph, the RIASEC graph, realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional, you find this person's score is the highest in social 8, which is almost an exceptional score on a 10 scale of 1 to 10. What does that mean? By nature, he loves interacting with others, small group or large group. He enjoys communicating with others, and he has got a soft corner for helping out people in distress. An altruistic person who enjoys working with people. Take people away from this particular person, he or she is going to be drained and stressed out. So interest profiling only says what you enjoy doing. Is not about skill sets. The beautiful thing is, in this particular person's score, social, since it's an exceptional score, it can also mean that's a gift. That means got a gift for the gab of communication, and it could be for somebody else had an artistic score. Maybe he's a natural singer or a natural artist or a sports player. All of that could be. gift is something that comes naturally to you without any skill building. You may not be a superstar there with the gift. The gift can become a superstar performance by honing it and building skills further on that. Okay?
Commander, we have a question from Vicky Karra.
Yeah.
He asks that, isn't passion congruent with purpose? How can one be passionate about something if it is not consistent with purpose?
Good. I think maybe you missed the earlier conversation. So I may have to take you back to this particular on the PowerPoint of mine, where make your passion your profession. I put a question mark. In any definition, in any publication or any thought leader's article, when you say passion, nobody talks about their values or what their needs and wants. You enjoy doing, you're immersed in it, you are feeling on top of the world, but it does not address whether that is giving you the moolah or the financial and other needs and wants that can sustain your passion as a profession. That's a weak link, which has been incorporated in my model. And therefore, when you add the values, that is the needs and wants, the passion, the word gets converted automatically to purpose. I hope, Vicky, that temporarily answers your question. We will delve as we progress more. Okay, moving on to the next slide. The second item in the measurements for identifying a true purpose is the personality test, and my favorite is the Big Five or associated tools. I also use MBTI and its equivalents, but being a trade-based tool, Big Five is short, sweet, and so very accurate. Now, what does the Big Five personality trait provide? The results provide an endorsement of the earlier gift that we talked about from interests, as well as talents and the skill strengths that you have, including weaknesses. Now, let me clarify, what do I define by talents? Talents are skill sets that are honed, and it has almost become a second nature. You can demonstrate those skills effortlessly, literally. Yeah, so they are skill sets which can be demonstrated with effortless ease. We can also, having got a long list of potential careers based on what you like and enjoy from the interest profiling, we can use the Big Five test results to further shortlist.
One webinar with the Joe Watson.
Okay. Okay, there is somebody on the mic. Can I request the mic to be muted so that I can proceed? Okay, so then after
sorry, please एक बार online. अच्छा. That's the best option.
Okay, can I request Rajesh to speak on the private phone or mute your mic, because that's becoming as a disturbance for others. Okay, thank you. All right, so we finished interest and personality, and the next measurement is your reasoning abilities, earlier called IQ tests. Why is it important? Critically important because...
Joe, sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to do a quick check that people are able to see you and hear you properly. There are some people who have messaged separately saying that there is a problem. So I just want to know if it's...
Yes, please do that. Please do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is...
Yeah, when I speak to people, yeah.
Yeah.
Krishnan says he can hear. Chinmaya Vijay says can't see. Can somebody help him on a separate chat? Yep.
So that I can message individual people then.
Yes. Krishnan says, please look into the audio. Shivangi says can't see. Anju says can't see. Vicky says audio is clear, but there's no video. So is there any tip, Vinay, for seeing?
I can see you. So if people are unable to see you, then can you just once unshare and share your camera?
Joe, only the PowerPoint slides are visible. You're not visible.
Okay, so what Vinay is saying is disconnect the video and connect again. That is one. You can also log out and log in. It could be an issue. And if anybody is on not on Firefox or on Google, this can happen. So if you're logged in, other than Firefox and Google, please log out and log in. The same login data, put it on the URL, and you will be able to join in through Google or through Firefox, which is stable. Those who are on mobile smartphone, you are likely not to see either my picture or the slide. That has been experience and the feedback that I am on. So Ruben, are you able to see both the picture and the PowerPoint?
Only the PowerPoint, Joe.
Yeah, just log out, Smita, and check out again if you're on a computer.
Yeah, I've logged in through Chrome. That's Google.
Okay.
So, but I'm only able to see the PowerPoint clearly.
All right. Vinay, any solution for them?
I don't think your logout will work, but Joe, you can just try unsharing your webcam once and share it again.
All right, let me do that. Okay, so I'm opening up the camera again. I will put a lower quality setting so that it may show up better. Okay, I guess all of you can see me and the slides. Someone is Chandrasekhar saying only slide.
That's right, only slides, but it's fine, Joe. I think that's fine.
All right, okay. So I request you to try log in, log out if that's going to help. So there are technical issues sometimes some people face, but majority I notice they're able to see, or literally everyone is able to see the slide, but some people are saying not the video. All right, with your permission, I'll continue. And Vinay, you could stop in between to check if there are
Sure. Please continue.
Okay, all right. So the third measurement is the reasoning abilities of the IQ test. Why is it important to include that to identify your true self? Your cognitive abilities are very critical. And when we say the cognitive abilities, the top three are the verbal reasoning, numerical reasoning, and figural reasoning or abstract reasoning. What do? They endorse your gifts and talents and discover cognitive skills that you may not be fully aware of earlier, which can help you shortlist your activities or careers. And if you look at this graph, the verbal ability is 8.6, the reasoning ability is 5.7, and the figural reasoning is 4.3, which means in line or continuation with the earlier interests, social careers, extroverted and good in communication, and here also verbal reasoning, which means this person is likely to be gifted in his or her verbal communication as well as written communication. Now, where is it useful and critical? In some career counseling or self-discovery session, this may not add extra value if all the scores are in the middle or all the scores are low. So to give you an example, these twin girls who came from Kochi, they were unhappy with the career counseling session that they had in Kochi. So they came all the way to Bangalore with their parents, and we administered the test. The interest profiling and the personality said they wanted to become like their father, an economist and also a journalist. He used to journal in Business Week. And when we came to the reasoning ability test, one girl had a very high verbal reasoning like this, and the other girl had a very high numerical reasoning, and the other two were average. And that hit the nail. The person with the verbal reasoning very high, above average or exceptional score, she decided to choose and continue with her journalism course. And the other twin decided to go with BA Economics. And both have completed the course. And I said, both of you can become a journalist. Should you want to do, you just need to do an additional postgraduate program. So in a lot of cases, the reasoning ability test is the game changer, the decision maker in a confused mind, whether they need to go for this or this, because there are occasions, and I would say approximately 10 to 12% of the population, where interest profiling and personality profiling together is not able to clearly discern what is a preferred career, and the reasoning abilities provide the answers. Okay, then let's go to the next one. So motivated skills, this is an optional one for students, but must for professionals in career. So the skills for working professionals, we are typically measuring the soft skills, the matrix of skills, you're motivated on the y-axis and the proficiency on the x-axis. And if you look at the combination, the quadrant 1 and quadrant 2 are the most suitable one. The skills that one you enjoy and you're good at, other one you enjoy but you're not good at, therefore motivated to develop. So when you look for a career change or look for your perfect career, it's better to shortlist those careers where your motivated skills, where your high level of motivation and even the proficiency may be on the lower side, to sustain and grow in that career. That's the secret of using the motivated skills assessment. Okay. Maybe I could give an example here. My own example. If you ask me how do I rate myself in Excel, advanced Excel, average to below average. Can I manage it? Yes. So my proficiency is on the lower side. Am I motivated to develop? Somehow no, because I learned it very late. And therefore, to me, I would prefer to take up jobs, assignments where I don't have to use personally the advanced Excel functioning. I would rather give it to somebody else, an associate, delegate to someone else, and focus on the skills in the Q1 and the Q2. That's what is going to give me enjoyment, motivation, as well as I'm good at that. So that is how the inference is made here. The next one again is an optional one for students, but mandatory for working professionals. We've got 3 of them there. The other skills include emotional intelligence test, selling skills, and third is entrepreneurial skills. Why are they important? Do all working professionals need to go through? They must go through the EQ tests. That is what Daniel Goleman has proven from his research from 90s onwards. Now everybody talks about that IQ is only a passport to enter the career and EQ is the ladder that takes you up. Okay. And those of you are interested in learning more, please go read this book, Working with Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. The selling skills test is recommended for people who have got a passion for selling. Yeah, they may not have the skill set, but they enjoy doing it, or they propound, or they are prophesying they like it. And in the whole world, the largest profession that employs maximum number of people are sales roles, whether it be real estate, BFSI, or it be white goods, any of them. The maximum number of people after graduation enters sales force, and almost 90% of them quit after 2 to 3 years because they joined with a lot of passion, but they found they're struggling to get the numbers, sustain the numbers, and they say that's not my piece of cake. So we want all working professionals, or all those who are joining a career after their college education, to do this in case you have a flair or you think you have a flair, and let the results prove, and then you decide, should I build skill to become a salesperson, or it comes naturally to you because my interest profiling set. So why have I added entrepreneurship tests here? Now, today, Make in India, everybody talks about entrepreneurship. That's what they talked 40 years back, 50 years back in Silicon Valley. And research says, and it's published data available, including in Forbes magazine, 90% of entrepreneurs fail in the first 5 years. Yeah, 90% of them fail. That means all the time, energy, money goes wasted because they thought they were good in entrepreneurship. So if you're able to go through this test, it will tell you what are your strengths in entrepreneurship, what are the gray areas. And this particular test that I'm referring to also provides you what specialization in entrepreneurship. That means, should you start from the scratch, or should you buy out a startup and build it up, or maybe you need to focus on a minor area of entrepreneurship role and get someone else to play the rest of the roles. Typically, you will find MSME sector entrepreneurs play all the roles, and that's where possibly they are failing. So these 3 tests gives you ideas as to what are your strengths, what are your development needs, and entrepreneurial skills also tells you which is the specific area of entrepreneurship you may want to focus, because that's where your strength lies in. Okay, I'm moving to the next slide. The career values, the killer part of it that makes the differentiation between the passion and purpose. Typically, very few career counseling processes include values assessment, a direct measurement. Some people have it as an indirect measurement by asking them what is important to you, what's that you want to achieve. So career values are about what we consider important. In layman's words, therefore, the need for survival and the wants, the desirable ones, which gives you much more delight and joy if you have it. And again, we have got, so the matrix gives you your score on importance and the need for fulfillment. On the y-axis, you got the important, always or seldom and never, and on the x-axis, need for fulfillment. So when you choose a career, your goal is to look for those careers where your needs and values will find fulfillment in the quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 4, and quadrant 5. That's when you will say, yes, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling satisfied, I'm content, because most of my needs are met and some of my wants are also met at the same time. Okay? If you remove career values, you will find people will not be able to select those critical careers or roles that they want to play, because that is not addressing their needs as well as the wants as articulated by the hierarchy of needs. Okay? All right, if there are any questions at this stage, please type into the chat box. We will be able to address as we move along. So putting together what I have discussed so far, how do I make this statement, make your purpose your profession? The first part is discover, second part is serve. So all the 6 measurements that we talked about, for students from class 10 onwards, we can use these measurements, including PhD level, and the 4th and the 5th, skills and other skills, can be exempted for students because they necessarily do not have work experience. Those skill sets, soft skills, may not be shaped and developed adequately. Okay? And going to the next slide, how is career and the purpose in life interlinked? How can we use discovering a purpose in life to decide your careers? You already got quite a few answers, but I want to clarify a little more. A career can help you make a living. That means make a living to meet your survival needs, the paycheck will pay for your food on the table, pay your EMIs, rentals, and things like that. And that's what, sadly, the majority of people seeking employment are having in their mind, and because of which they may not find adequate satisfaction in the career. Various engagement surveys conducted say there are more than 40% of 40 to 75% of the people are not engaged at work because the career is only making a living to meet the expenses or survival needs. A career can also help you make a life meeting your growth needs as well, not only survival needs, the wants that you have. Now, some of you may have a doubt between what's the difference between a need and a want. If a person has to travel 20 kilometers to work, he needs not a two-wheeler but a four-wheeler. The need is to transport safely within reasonable expenses from A to B. So a Maruti 800 or equivalent should be more than enough. Supposing like some of us who have been in the game for 30, 40 years, and you say, no, Maruti 800 is too basic. It makes too much of discomfort while driving. I would like to have a Mercedes-Benz or an Audi. Now, that is a wish for majority of us. It's not a need, it is a want, a desirable state. We can live without it. We can live with a car less than an Audi or a Mercedes-Benz. So making a life means meeting your growth needs as well as your wants. Make a life that matters in the lives of others, meaningful and fulfilling beyond what you get paid for, adding joy, happiness to all the stakeholders, that all the stakeholders are important. Otherwise, when people pick up a job based on the passion, they satisfy and meet the needs of your customer. Your own needs don't get clarified or fulfilled. Vicky's question that was asked, that is a clarification that I said I will repeat again here. To take it a little more further, when you're able to select your career where you can creatively express your unique gifts and talents to the fullest and in as many ways as possible, and meet your needs and wants while serving others to meet their needs and wants, your career and purpose in life merges into one. The two sides of the same coin. That means in the career that you've chosen, you are able to utilize fully, creatively, your gifts, your talents and skills, as well as meet your needs and wants. And while you serve humanity, you are able to meet the needs and wants of that target population that you are addressing. That's what makes difference between a passion and a purpose. So this is how it looks like. So on the left extreme, you have got discover using the 6 measurements that we talked about, serve this world, make this world a better place by meeting humanity's needs and wants, which is a generic statement. We then look at specifically for careers, look for those careers where you get the opportunity to express your gifts, talents, and skills, and meet all the stakeholders' needs and wants, including yours. That's where a sustainable career happens, because your profession is based on your purpose. Okay, this is the key slide that is validating the hypothesis that I said. Select career based on your purpose. Make your purpose your profession, not passion alone. By the way, passion is part of purpose. That's why I said, not passion alone. Make your purpose your profession. You will never ever go wrong. Okay, so taking forward to the next slide. So this is where I said earlier, discovering your purpose is like two sides of the same coin. On one side, you get clarity. What's your true purpose? What are your gifts and talents? And how you can use that to serve others. And on the extreme right, selecting careers where you have maximum opportunity. Okay, I heard some background noise. Is there some question somebody raised? Please put in the chat.
Yes, Joe, Uni here. Chandrasekharan got a question. A person in the mid of his career, what's your advice?
What's my advice? This advice is applicable for somebody who's in the 10th standard.
Joe, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you, Uni. So you're saying, is this model applicable for a person?
Look into the public chat. That's question.
Yeah, Uni, I'm repeating. What you've asked me is this model applicable for a person in their mid-career transition? And I say repeatedly, it is applicable for a 16-year-old in the 10th standard to a 60-year-old who's retiring and wants to settle into a second career or a post-retirement career. Okay, any other? So Chandrasekharan, okay, all right, thank you. Let me proceed to the next slide. So Chandrasekharan is happy with the response that I gave. Now, this is where I've made public whatever I've presented to you so far. Make your purpose your profession. 3 easy steps to select the careers you will love. It's available on Amazon, on Kindle. It is free. Please download this. It is free. And whatever we discuss, none of the graphics that are there in the ebook, it will come in the workbook, which I'm in the process of writing. It will get published possibly in the 90 days time. And I'm at this stage only throwing a carrot. There's a gift within this book, which I'll explain as we wind up the session. Okay? All right, going to the next slide. Let me share with you some pretty well-crafted purpose statement, having people who have discovered using the 6 measurement process arrived at the purpose. So the 3 elements that must be there in a purpose statement is what action will you do, what will you do, who's the beneficiary, and what's the kind of impact. So if you're looking at the definition, which I like from Dr. Deepak Chopra, your gifts and talents to be used to help the world become a better place. Help the world a better place, and there has to be a beneficiary, as well as there has to be a positive impact. My purpose in life is to help anyone who's planning a career shift discover the uniqueness and craft meaningful life purpose statements so that they won't land up again in careers they hate and can apply for careers that can meet their needs and wants at the earliest. Now, this is actually my own purpose statement, which I've published in the last 3 months to help our people in career transition, wanting to shift, or they have lost their main livelihood because of the COVID-19 turmoil that has been created. Let's look at another one. My purpose in life is to help parents who are corporate employees who are not used to working from home learn how to manage their troublesome emotions and use effective stress coping strategies so that they can improve their productivity, emotional health, and deal more effectively with conflicts at home, because both the parents and if they have two children are compelled to work as well as learn from home. And imagine they have got only 2 BHK and only 2 computers, and there are 4 people fighting for time. Now, this is my purpose statement, which I made 2 months back, soon after the COVID broke out in the first week of April, seeing this as an opportunity to serve people who are experiencing new challenges in the new working style that we are to live with and possibly to live with for quite some time, if not forever. Let's look at another one. My purpose in life is to help students in the 9 to 12 grades master their biology subject knowledge remotely from their homes with only a smartphone, so that they can score high marks in the biology in their exams and reduce stress arising from not having a dedicated computer or printer at home to use other providers' services. Now, this is a tutor, a bio tutor, who creatively came out with using WhatsApp to meet this group of students who do not have a dedicated computer or a printer at home. So what did she do? She used WhatsApp videos, WhatsApp statements, WhatsApp attachment documents where they can download and write down. So they create a workbook or a ledger, write it down rather than printing, and that is done prior to the session that is conducted, so that they can get the same output with little more time invested, much less money invested or technical equipment investment that is required. Let me end with one more life purpose statement, which is really close to my heart. My purpose in life is to help people, individuals, teams, and organizations discover the uniqueness with effortless ease so that they can express their gifts and talents to the fullest, adding joy and happiness to humanity. I just shaped this message around Dr. Deepak Chopra's description of the purpose in life, or dharma. And this is my own personal purpose statement that I've created in the last 3 months' time. All right. Did you find those statements of purpose striking, touching, and insightful for you? If you think yes, please type in the poll that is open to you. I see a lot of yeses going in, no for one person, that is fine. I'm sure you must be having insight in these areas, or maybe you could read up some more in my book and then connect with me in case, should you want more clarity. That's almost 47, 49%. Thank you very much for the poll. I'm closing the poll at this stage, and I'm coming back to my earlier hypothesis. Choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. So Sir Confucius, which based on the evidence that I've provided so far, it does not stand the full validation, because passion does not include values, the needs and wants. So the re-modified statement is: select a career aligned with your true purpose in life to radiate joy, happiness, and peace on an everyday basis. That's crafted by me and which appears in the ebook that I have written. So we are appearing or reaching a stage where we can take on questions from each one of you. You can chat up, and based on the bandwidth, those who want to ask questions, you can unmute your phone or the mic and ask the questions. Okay, Rajesh, you can come in to help me with reading out some of the chats which I may not be able to see quickly. Rajesh, are you there? Yeah, I'm looking out. Yes, Prashant. Yes, Shweta. Go ahead with your questions. You can simultaneously type in as well, in case the voice is not clear. Karen Paul, I can't hear you. You have to unmute your mic, Karen Paul.
Okay, Joe, while Mr. Paul comes, the audio comes on, there is a question from Abhijit, which says, please show the crafting purpose statements.
All right, okay.
I think...
yeah, Abhijit, I've got 4 of them. Which one? I'll quickly run through the first one to the last one. So my purpose in life is to help anyone who's planning a career shift. So those who raise the question mid-career shift, discover the uniqueness first. Craft meaningful life purpose statements so that they won't land up again in careers they hate and can apply for careers that meet their needs and wants at the earliest. The best in career, applying for a career as well as recruitment is you have one JD and you get one application that fits it. That's the best recruitment process that you can create. And for that, you need to work both the recruiter to create the job description as accurately as possible, and for the applicant to be clear about their purpose statement. If that is clear, you will find it is so easy to identify which is the career that I must apply for. Abhijit, I hope that is answering your question. There was someone else asking a question which was garbled. Can you repeat, or can you come on the chat?
Okay, there's a question from Shweta, which says, can you explain again the value quadrant?
All right, Shweta wants more clarity on the value quadrant. Okay, let me take you there. Yeah, so for everybody's benefit, values are what we consider important. Yeah, it can be a construct, it can be supposing I say money is important for me. So it could be either the basic salary or the benefits or the CTC put together. Similarly, we will have a huge list of career values, work values. Sometimes you may have specific values around the family. Okay, so in values assessment, there are 2 elements. What are your values that's important to you? For you'll find a lot of people in the entry-level job, monetary incentives are number 1, career growth could be number 2, opportunity to develop skill set could be number 3. Whereas a person with 20 years of experience at a senior management level, money may not be, monetary consideration may not be the number 1, it could be number 2 or number 3. Yeah, finding fulfillment in the career, it could be work-life. Supposing if it's a lady who's also got to manage the family, manage the children, for as the babies come, there could be a shift in career values and say work-life balance is important, therefore I need to invest sufficient time. So looking after my kids or my family is equally important. Career may be number 2. Yeah. So typically, I will take you back to 2 other slides when I showed you what are typical needs and wants described in career. So this is here. So the purpose in life, when we ask people, typically some of the answers that come up is material abundance linked to money, health, energy, physical energy, emotional energy, enthusiasm, relationship, freedom, stability, sense of well-being, peace of mind. And remember, our values can change as we progress through our life stages. Early part of our career, mid-career, senior level, if you if you're in the family where you need to look after the kids, you will find there is a shift in the prioritization of our values. And that is natural. Usually with my 15 plus years of experience, I found love, joy, fulfillment, and happiness are at the core of what most people say are their core values. Does that answer your question? I'm ready for more questions.
There was a
Yeah.
hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Vinay, can you relay for me? I can't hear, it's garbled.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Joe?
I can hear you. I can hear you, Vinay. Somebody else's voice is garbled.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, Parmita.
Yes, I have a question, sir. How can we identify the purpose in our life? What are the parameters should we go for to identify it?
Okay. So do you recall the 6 parameters that we talked about so
Sorry?
far? Have you been in the session from the beginning?
Yes. I have been.
Yeah. So these are the 6 measures. If you can answer these 6 measures that are given there, let me take you. Yeah, I'll keep.
The last end, we don't identify the.
Okay. Are you able to see the screen, Parmita? I'm not able to hear you, but I'll assume that you can hear me, and for the benefit of everybody, how
Yes.
do you identify your purpose?
Yes.
You identify your purpose when you are able to discover what is your true self, your uniqueness in terms of your gifts and talents. Your gifts and talents are measured, 1 with interest profiling, 2 with personality profiling, 3 with reasoning abilities, 4 with the skill sets, 5th with the other skills like EQ, sales, and entrepreneurship, and 6th one based on your values, which are your
Okay.
needs and wants. That gives you an answer, what is unique about you. And how do you identify the purpose? Where can you deploy this uniqueness in the world to make the world a better place? That means which is the market, which is the target audience that you can fulfill, which are the, based on your education qualification and other experiences, what are the job roles? And since you asked this question, I will give you an example of a chartered accountant in Mumbai, whom I coached about 4 years back. He was,
Okay, sir.
yeah, he was working in a 200 company auditing firm, and he was a very smart individual in his early 30s. His boss was in his 40s, and in his perspective, the boss was quite a pain for him. He used to finish his work by 4 o'clock because he was smart, he was very intelligent. And from 4 o'clock onwards, he did not know what to do. So next to where he was living, there was a small church, and they had in the government school a study center for free classes being conducted for chartered accountants, those are registered for articleship in chartered accountancy. So what he used to do is, by after 4 o'clock, he used to slide away from the office, go there and teach the kids. And his boss had a very selfish perspective. Whether he finishes work or not, he never used to pack up before 7 for whatever logic and reason he had. So one day, so he used to sneak in before 7 o'clock so that when his boss leaves, he is visible and the boss is very happy. Oh, very hardworking subordinate or team member that I have. So one day the boss happened to sneak in to ask for him at around 6 o'clock. He was missing. So he raised hell, and this guy was hauled up. He said, "Sir, see, I have no job. Last so many months I've been sneaking out and doing charity work." He said, "No, this place is not for charity. You should be available here. If I want to ask some questions, if any customers want to ask some questions, or my big boss asks some questions, I want you to be available." So he did not like it much. And that was the time around the HR team was talking about corporate social responsibility. They were contributing some money to some charity, and he put a suggestion: why don't we adopt this particular village, which is just 3 kilometers from our office? There are more than 30 chartered accountant students or BCom students who are looking for tuition in accountancy, which they can't afford to pay. I'm volunteering to be the leader. and he also talked with other people to, sponsor his case. The company sponsored tutoring because they were all accountants, chartered accountants, tutoring all students of chartered accountancy in the articleship to be done free coaching. So within a week, he got official freedom to leave at 4 o'clock and go back from there. So see, he was not able to find a job where all his values were not getting fulfilled. And he had to step out. For some people, they find some of their values getting fulfilled by taking up hobbies. The work may not permit that. So it could be that you also look at creative ways of finding ways and means. And I have, in the organization that I have consulted and trained in, seasoned professionals, they join the industrial training because they love training and they don't get enough opportunity for training. Yeah, or they
Okay.
Yeah,
I get it. I get it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you a lot.
Any more questions? Some more questions?
Yes, sir, Joe, there are more questions.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay.
Sanjay.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Can I go ahead?
Yes,
Yes,
Sanjay, go ahead.
Yes. So say somebody is 7 or 8 years into a particular career and is getting paid well and all.
Yeah.
But she realizes that she's not passionate about the work. She does not get any job satisfaction in it, and this is not where she belongs. But then, because she's already 8 years into that field, she has established herself there. She's getting paid and all. She's reached a certain pay scale. Now, if she realizes her passion lies elsewhere, but though she is motivated to learn it, she will have to start from scratch in that new field, which means she will not get paid at all compared to what she is getting. So given a person is in such a stage in life, what all should she consider in making such a decision about switches?
All right, good question. Very powerful question. So for her, you're saying in the particular career that she is in, she has got the comfort zone Q1, Q2 in the skill sets that are there. And is her passion different or is the purpose different? So she must go through all the 6 measurements, not just interest alone. So whether you are at the entry level or you are in the mid-career where you have established yourself and you find that you are not finding the fulfillment that you are seeking, you need to look at all the 6 measurements, okay? So interest. So in the current role, she's not interested. Then you need to know what are her interests and not just one. Typically for career guidance or discover purpose identification, we look at the top 3 interests. Yeah, because it may not be possible to fulfill one particular interest in a particular career because it'd be a mix of a number of interests. Similarly, personality will give a measurement of what her talents are, what her skills are. Now, if she has got a low skill and low motivation in some skills where she wants to move in, that's a big journey for her. She needs to really look at, do I really want to go there? Or if she can use some of the skill sets that she is already good at and enjoys doing, she may want to look at, so remember, there is no one perfect career for a person. Based on your purpose in life, you could have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we strongly recommend identify the top 10, then the top 5, then the top 3, and between the top 3, use a decision matrix to arrive at the one that is most fulfilling. And like this example that you're quoting, halfway through 7 years, 8 years, you find that not this, then you go back to what you discussed, the second, third, or the fourth, or the fifth. If required, go through these assessments again, because certain interests, like we said, would have changed, skill set would have changed with your experience. You will be able to arrive at a more satisfying answer. May not be 100% perfect answer. Some of the purpose may be fulfilled outside of the work in CSR activities or in hobbies or any volunteer work as well. And a lot of people today have more than one income, one salaried income and another 24/7, say, an online income, which is permitted. The law does not stop you from doing that. And that's how you need to develop that fulfilling career, which is aligned to the extent possible with your life purpose. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. That was helpful.
Okay.
Okay, Joe, there are some specific questions on careers. Like there's a question from Nehal on, can you explain job opportunities after commerce? There is also a question from Shivangi. Do you have any advice for a student taking architecture as a career? Any advice on these specific?
Okay, one is on commerce, other one is on architecture. So let me reinforce the model. It is not your educational qualification that determines your career. It is your interest, your personality, your cognitive abilities, your skill sets, extended skill sets, and your needs and wants that should define. And educational qualification is only one of the parameters or one of the stepping stones towards that. Therefore, I would not like to invest my time on answering that. The question that you asked, what can I do? What are the career opportunities? There are a number of websites available, and to go to the US site onet.com, onet.com, which is the US government Department of Labor's website, gives in the American context, and there are a number of websites in India as well, which I'm not able to recall right away, which gives BCom as an eligibility criteria. And for the second question about architecture, let me tell you a story of a lady whom I know since the last 10 years in Bangalore. Her dad's wish was that she does architecture. She cleared, she was intelligent, she cleared the exam. 5-year architecture, by the way, is a 5-year course. Today, she is teaching in an NGO, gifted children with learning disabilities. Can you imagine? And I always asked her, what stopped you from going through a career discovery session or a life purpose statement? She said, I never had. I actually went through some career counselors. I was disgruntled with the approach. And then she got trained with me to become a career counselor, and she was happy about it. And she said, I think I've already chosen the one that I'm, based on the assessment that you have done and the discussion that we had, I think I'm in the correct place. Imagine if a person, a student, does a life purpose statement and a structured career discovery session in class 10, you will not become an engineer. I just saw the 3 Idiots movie recently a third time. You will not do your engineering degree, go to USA in the Ivy universities and do an MBA and come back and work in the financial services sector, which a BCom and a maximum MBA finance in India would have been enough. Okay, does that answer the question that you raised? Okay, you can, Vinay, you can verify from them.
Yeah, I'll wait for the response, but the next one I will take up meantime is from Mitra, says, does passion plus the need for fulfilling materialistic needs and with the sufficient dosage of values add up to a purpose?
Can you repeat that?
Does passion plus the need for fulfilling materialistic needs and with the sufficient dosage of values add up to a purpose?
Okay, so the question is not necessarily a very clear question. So passion includes your interest, personality, cognitive abilities, and the skill sets. Your values determine your needs and wants, which includes your materialistic need as well. So when you said passion plus needs, materialistic needs and values, materialistic needs and values are one. Okay, so a purpose is when passion plus the needs and wants are aligned, and you can find a job where you can demonstrate this uniqueness, that is your gifts and talents, and that will also fulfill your needs and wants, which includes your material needs, your salary, your career progression, your work-life balance, all of that, and your health and travel, all of that. Okay, Mitra, does that answer your question?
Okay.
All right, I want to, for my own satisfaction, do a quick poll. So the question is, how many of you have found at least a 3 notches improvement in your awareness in creating a purpose statement? How does a purpose statement look like? What are all the ingredients that must be there in creating your life purpose statements, and how that can be used in selecting a career even after 10th standard or even after approaching the age of 60? If you think, yes, it has been useful for me, could you just type in yes or a no for a poll? While others can ask questions that you still have, which are not got an opportunity. And I find there is one answer no. If you can state what is making you say a no, I would be happy to answer. We can take it up separately as well, but I'm available. We still have another 15 odd minutes for the session to come to a close. Okay, another 10 seconds for the poll. Thank you so much. 38% of the people, 15 people have said, yes, it has helped me move 2 to 3 notches up in terms of awareness about purpose, writing a life purpose statement, also what all needs to be considered to arrive at your life purpose, and also making career choices around that. Okay, so if anybody else thinks, I'm going to close the poll right now, but if anybody else thinks you want to ask a question where possibly you would like to get a little more clarity on any of the elements that we talked about so far, you're most welcome. We still have another 15 or 14 minutes for the webinar to end.
Yeah, Joe, Abhijit wants to see crafting statement 2.
Yeah. All right, Abhijit, here I move towards crafting statement 2. Here we are. So remember, life purpose statement should have 3 elements. What action would you do based on your gifts and talents? Who will be the target audience, the beneficiary? And what is the impact? How are you going to make the world a better place? Increase joy, pleasure, ecstasy, or reduce pain, sorrow, grief, or a combination thereof? My purpose in life is to help parents who are corporate employees, specific target audience, who are not used to working from home. That means current environment has changed. Learn how to manage their troublesome emotions. Why troublesome emotions? Working in a new environment with the challenges, and use effective stress coping strategies so that they can improve their productivity while working from home, both husband and wife, their emotional health, and deal more effectively with conflicts at home between the husband and wife. Both are working from home, and also with the children, because they are compelled to learn from home, because quite a few schools have already introduced online learning for students. Yes, Abhijit, what is the further specific questions, or have you got clarity?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for the clarity. In fact, this entire session has been a new kind of direction for me. But at times, allow me to say, I have seen different people in sales career that they hardly get the time to reflect upon that what is the purpose of their life, or what is their likes or dislikes.
Very true.
So
Very
without thinking or without looking left and right, they straight away get into sales profession because they think I can do anything else, and sales is the only thing where I can earn my salary, as well as I'll be having the opportunity to earn incentives as well. So without reflecting further anymore anything, they get into it of 10 years or 8 years even. They get a feeling from their inner side that am I selling in the right boat?
Yes, absolutely. And it happens to a lot of people for whom early employment is critical to earn sufficient money to maybe pay off their education loans, meet the family commitments, get their sisters married, or meet the medical expenses of the parents or their loved ones. And therefore, they, even if they don't like the career, sales stresses them, but the money motivates them, and that's a temporary phase. A stage will come when your core interest says, hey, I don't enjoy it. It's like every day writing with your left hand, which you don't like, but you can do it. You will long for the day when you get the freedom to write with your right hand. That's exactly what the principle behind this is. Thank you for asking that question, Abhijit.
Joe, the next one from Chinma Vijay is, what is the percentage accuracy of the reports?
Okay. All right. Good question. So, are the test reports accurate? What's the level of accuracy? Now, when we come to psychometric assessments, there are two parameters that you must look at for deciding a tool. One is called reliability, and second is called validity.
Validity.
Yes. So reliability is it giving consistent measurements? If I do the measurement today and repeat after 30 days, will I get a consistent result within plus minus acceptable limits? Remember, by definition, reliability is not for one person measurement, it's for a group of people, at least 30 to 33 people, for statistical analysis. So the personality tests have got a comparatively lower reliability compared to reasoning ability. Most of the reasoning ability tests have got a reliability of 0.80 or 80% accuracy when you repeat the test for a group after 30 days. British Psychological Society recommends, for selection purpose, not for career guidance or purpose creation statements, use those reasoning tests or IQ tests where the reliability is 0.8 or more. It is very difficult to get any tests where the reliability is more than 0.9 in ability tests. And I know at least 3-4 brochures or personality tests where they claim 90% accuracy, 93% accuracy. So one of the best ways of identifying the reliability and validity, which is made public and questioned by peer review, is if you go to British Psychological Society's website, and there's something called PTC, Psychological Testing Center. Anybody, even without registering, can download all the peer evaluation up to 5 pages free of cost. And if you're a member like me, you get a 15-page detailed report. So what are the recommendations I always give to people who are looking for psychometric assessments? Go for tools that are registered there, or at least go to publishers who have registered at least 1 or 2 tools, because if a lot of the publishers that I interact with, they've got 10 to 25 tools under their basket. And to register all of them, the money required is quite a bit. So even if they have registered one tool, we know that it is a reliable publisher. So you will find British Psychological Society recommends that you use a personality test for selection purpose, like an OPQ 32, Hogan, 15FQ plus, Big 5, OPP and MAPP. All these must have a reliability of 0.7 or more. Now coming to validity. Validity is a fit for purpose. Does it predict accurately? If it's for careers, interest profiling, how accurately are they predicting? Now,
So could you please repeat the website of these psychometric tests?
British Psychological Society, bps.org. And within the BPS, there is a subset called PTC, Psychological Testing Center. All the established global publishers of psychometrics will have 1 or more tests reviewed by 7 of their chartered psychologists, and the star rating is also made available, so that anybody can say, okay, what is the opinion of similar professionals in the field with no partiality alluded. So the second element is validity. Does it predict accurately? If I do a selling skills test, does it give me an accurate measurement? If I do an EQ test, does it give me an accurate measurement? Or predicting whether the behaviors will be manifested or not? Or entrepreneurial test, to what extent will it predict that yes, he or she will be a successful entrepreneur? Now, remember, all psychometric tests, the answers are dependent on what you give. All of them are self-report, unlike ability tests, where there's a right and wrong answer. In a personality test, including the Big 5 we talked about and the interest, there's no time limit. So when we do these tests as a self-report, nobody's monitoring how long are you taking. There are 3 potential error areas. 1, the individual state. If he is running 103 degrees fever, or he has taken 2 doses of antibiotics, he or she is not likely to be in a good frame of mind, which can creep in errors, number one. So win the individual. Second is environment. If you are sitting in a room in the summer like this, no fan, electricity failure, but you have got a UPS and you are doing the test sweating around, that is going to, or the neighbor's TV or the music system or the local temple is playing loud music, or it's a Diwali day, patakas going left, right, and center, you are not able to focus. So the environment, favorable or unfavorable environment, contributes towards the validity of the test. And the third is the test itself. Are the wordings clear enough? Do you have a difficulty in interpreting it correctly? So all the global test publishers ensure that they do make the test culture free. That means they will ensure that the interpretation will be similar. I'll give you an example of a test which had, do you prefer ice hockey to boxing? Now, if you administer this test to somebody in Vijayawada or any tier 2 city, today, of course, they will have some exposure to ice hockey because the sports channels and hockey as well. But if the sports channel was not available, they would have no idea what ice hockey looks like and maybe what boxing also looks like. So it's important that the test constructors ensure that the wordings chosen are culture free and interpretation will not vary. Even if you've got a 100-item questionnaire, if you've got 3 or 4 questions which can be misconstrued, that's okay, which covers within the accuracy limits which a test publisher predicts. I hope this answers your question, Abhijit. All right, if there are no more questions, we have got another 4 minutes to go for the...
There are more questions, Rajesh here, Wing Commander. Dr. James says, can you explain which are the tests a 10th standard student should take and what is the probability of correctness of the test?
All right, so I use more than 50 tests from 5 different publishers as of today. So the interest profiling. So remember, there are tests published, all the tests that I use are internationally published. There are a number of Indian providers whose tests are only sold in India. That does not find acceptability abroad because the processes involved in developing the test. So one of the best ways to ask or verify from the publisher or whoever is providing, do you have a technical manual where I can go through what the tests look like? Okay. So interest profiling, there are a number of them. I provide 2 different versions. Both are based on the RIASEC model, based on strong interest profiling, or which is the other one, Dr. John, who crafted this test way back after the Second World War. Okay, and interest profilings compared to personality tests or ability tests will have a comparatively lower reliability. The tests that I provide have, the publishers say the reliability is between 0.5 to 0.65. And similarly, I don't use MBTI though I'm certified, because the reliability is comparatively lower in a type test. I prefer using a trait-based test called the Big 5, which has got a reliability of 0.72. And the reasoning test that I use is called Reasoning 20 or Reasoning Test, which has got a reliability of 0.82. Okay, Dr. James, does that answer the question that you asked? All right. So
yeah, we have 3 more questions.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Ramya Ramesh, sir, how would you explain about the instant of realization whether our passion won't be a good choice of being a profession that could fulfill our needs and wants? I'll repeat once again. How would you explain the instant of realization of whether a passion won't be a good choice of being a profession that could fulfill our needs and wants?
Okay, all right. So Ramya, I would want you to search this on the Google in the Forbes magazine. I have read in the last 2 years at least 4 articles why passion is not a good predictor of careers. Passion should not be your profession. And you yourself are giving me the clue for the answer: instant realization. In other words, gut feeling. Yeah. I enjoy football. What? I enjoy watching versus playing. Yeah. So the level, when you say instant realization, any interest, if it is not manifested with the actual demonstration of behavior, is not necessarily a valid realization of the interest. So interest which links up. Somebody says, I'm interested in painting. So I ask a question, how many paintings have you done? Do you do oil painting? Do you do charcoal painting? No. I enjoy visiting the gallery. That is a low level of interest. High level of interest is active participation, active demonstration. So instant realization is a gut feel. Please add to that validation with practical demonstration, which is endorsed by others. If it is endorsed by others, you will not go wrong. And don't go with passion alone. Look at what your needs and wants are. Only then can that passion be sustained. Otherwise, after some time, when the initial, the honeymoon with the passion is over, you will feel stressed out and you look for changing jobs. What is the second question?
Preeti has asked this question. By what you are saying, does a person need to reevaluate the purpose often?
Very good question. So oftentimes, when a child is in their adolescence, 10th standard, 12th standard, they are still growing up. By the time they finish college, as per psychology, adolescence to adulthood happens between 19 to 21 years. And you will find by that time, the values by and large gets crystallized. What happens is the values, the top 5 or top 10 values may not change from the age of 20 to age of 60, but prioritization, the number 1 may become number 2. And I give example, supposing you're a lady, you're a working professional, you decide to get married, you decide to go the family way, you need to rear children. You may, if your value is about family happiness, you may decide to take a sabbatical and take a break, which may affect your career progression, which you are happy with. So it's a good idea whenever major life events happens, and that is likely to affect your heart of heart, that I'm not feeling happy. That's a good time to revisit your purpose of life statement. There was one more question I thought I heard.
As we talked, there were 2 more questions which again came up. Naima Nasreen.
I'm not going to take any more questions because we have reached the...
Yeah, one more question, one more last question. We can take that, sir. It's been quite some time.
Yeah.
Sir, I said, Naima Nasreen said, sir, I'm a psychology student. As I have got admission for PG in the same field, I feel sometimes this doesn't fit me just because of the fear towards the subject, but I love the subject. I'm quite interested in learning some other profession as well, but there is no way I could say this to my parents about it. Also, I'm confused and I'm suspicious about the purpose of my life. What suggestions could you give for people like me, sir?
All right, very, very question. Thank you for being vulnerable in front of all of it. And that's a reality for a lot of children like you, where they are under pressure from the parents to choose the career they dictate, or they are not in sync. And please watch this 3 Idiots movie. It is pretty educating. I really like that movie, which to a great extent answers your question. And to answer here, so if you find that you're not strong enough to share these experiences, please connect with us. This is our contact details. And please invest in this minimum 3 assessments: interest, personality, 4 assessment: interest, personality, reasoning ability, and values. And you will get an answer, and we will invite your parents to hear out what this throws up. And I'm sure you will get answers that you're seeking. I hope this answers your question, Preeti. Okay, I have a gift pending. So if you, I will answer only one more question. Otherwise, the gift will go away. The gift is quite good one.
There were two questions, so I'll take this question as Chinmay Vijay has asked, what is passion precisely?
Okay, Chinna Vijay, did you join from the very beginning?
Yes, he did. He did join from the beginning.
Then probably you did not understand, or maybe you did not assimilate what we explained. Passion includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not the 6th. Your interest, your personality, your reasoning ability, your skills, and your other skills. In other words, in Dr. Deepak Chopra's terminology, your gifts, talents, and skills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's okay with the answer.
All right, which is the last one?
Yep. Yes, Wing Commander. Does
All
with
right.
the questions.
Okay, so thank you very much for staying on for so long with us. Before I hand over the mic to Rajesh, so please visit Amazon. This book, which I published 2 weeks back, Make Your Purpose Your Profession, all that we discussed is there in prose form, no graphics. You will find absolute clarity. It is free on Kindle. And when you go to the last page, you have a login details given. You just need to give your name, first name, mail ID, and the mobile number. You will get a mail from us, and you will get an invite to complete your interest profiling. The first step in discovering your purpose as well as your passion. Complete the 60-item test. You will get a 4-page report, which is only part of the 20-page report. This 4-page report, which gives you your RISET scores, is free gift to you. And if you want the 20-page report, you have to make a nominal payment of 1,000 plus taxes. You get the full report, which you can interpret with yourself if you read this ebook as well as the seminar that you heard. So that is the offer, the gift of the weekend that I've got. Rajesh, will you take over for the last part of the announcement?
Thank you, Wing Commander Joseph Paulson, and I hope this has disturbed everybody enough for you to start thinking differently. And Transcat is more than welcome to help anybody out in finding out the purpose, as Naima Nasreen was told about it. Because yes, a lot of confusion still persists, and if Joe has not been able to disturb anybody, I guess everybody's found their purpose in life. But I guess that's not the case. Probably not. So fabulous session, absolutely mind-blowing. It was real eye-opener, Wing Commander. And as always, you rock. Absolutely rock.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, my dear.
And thank you, everybody, each and everybody who joined in. I hope this was of some use, if not all of use to anybody. And this, as he said, it's a very technical approach towards career, which 90% of either the companies nor people who apply for jobs have it. Look forward to a career, go through this technical. This is a very structured approach. What I have felt, at least, and I hope everybody feels the same. So this is a very process-oriented approach to career, which also takes care of what you actually are capable of. Thank you, Wing Commander Joe Paulson, and thank you, Vinay, for this wonderful platform which enables us everything. And thank you, the entire Transcat team and the Rotary Club Sneha, Rotary Bangalore Sneha, for making this possible. We do have the next webinar coming in on 30th May on 2020. This is role of technology in enabling productivity and employee engagement post-COVID 2020 to 19. This is by Mr. S. Badri Narayana, who is a managing and director and chief consultant of Flame TAQ Nowhere Private Limited. And I would encourage you to all of you here to not only register, but maybe spread the word around and come into this webinar, because that's also a very valid and a relevant topic, I feel, enabling productivity and employee engagement post-COVID, because that's going to be a huge challenge for companies as well as people who have got teams below them. So once again, encourage you to, the registration process is the same. Encourage you all to not only register, but spread the word around and see who all can attend and benefit from the webinar which is going to come in. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Wing Commander, once again, and thank you, Transcat team and Rotary Bangalore's Sneha for making this possible. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, and have a great and wonderful evening and weekend ahead.
Have a great weekend ahead, everybody. I would like to wait for 2 minutes and see if 1 minute we can give for the feedback to come in. A lot of feedback has already come in. So if you want to add your feedback in, it would be great. It would be great if you can send in your feedback to through the chat box over here. Preeti says, thanks, Joe. As always, fabulous session. I go away with things to think about. Thank you for sharing your work and your passion. Chinmay, Melanie says, great session, Joe. Thank you. Vijay, Dr. Vijay, great learning. Thanks, Joe. Paramika, thanks, Joe. Great session. Good luck. Mitra, thank you so much. Joe, sir, loved hearing you. Shweta Rani, thank you so much. It was a great session. Dr. James, good session. Mini Krishnan, great session. Preeti, thank you. See you next time. Shweta, it gave a new insight to think about passion. Rihanna, thank you. It was really helpful. Ramya Ramesh, absolutely useful to think differently. Kirtana, this was a great session, sir. Thank you so much. Rajesh Sarkar, thanks a lot. As always, I enjoy and admire listening to your concept sessions and advices. That's it, sir. That's the feedback. That's a lot of feedback, positive feedback, which is coming, and great session, sir. And thanks a lot for the session from my side too. Vinay, would you like to end the session, please?
Yeah, I'll close the meeting. Thank you, everyone. And we'll share the recording as well soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.